good, y'all. So in this video, I'm going to be reacting to Mr. Ballen top 3 photos with disturbing backstories. I did good. I remember the whole title. But I did a part 1 to this video last week, and I'm just going to finish it off. So I'm going to do the next 2 stories. And yeah, probably we'll do some more plain coming, but more Mr. Ballen reactions next week. So anyways, let's get into it. I got oatmeal.
Armin Meiwes seemed like a really good guy. He mowed his neighbor's lawn, he offered to fix his friends' cars, he would host these great dinner parties at his house. But underneath that charming outer layer, Armin Meiwes was a deeply disturbed individual. In 2001, Armin would place an ad on the internet seeking a young, well-built man that is looking to be slaughtered and then consumed.
Oh.
Meiwes actually got a lot of replies to this, and people acted like they were interested.
Not very hungry right now.
But I think people were just responding because it was such an outrageous thing he was asking for, so no one went through with it. Until a man named Bernard Brandis saw it, who had previously placed an ad on the internet himself, asking if there was anybody out there that would slaughter and eat him. So perfect match. So Brandis reaches out to Armin and says, yes, I'd love to. And on March 9th, 2001, the two meet up at Armin's house. Brandis lays down in the bathtub while Armin sets up a video camera. He wants to film this for a variety of reasons, but mostly he wants to make sure that everybody sees that Brandis is doing this willingly. On camera, Brandis gives Armin the go-ahead. Initially, Armin tries biting into Brandis, but apparently he was too chewy, so Brandis suggests he gets a knife. After successfully removing a piece of Brandis, Armin fries it up in a pan, and the two of them begin to eat it. But apparently it was too burned to either of their liking, and they would feed that piece of him to the dog. At this point, Brandis is in and out of consciousness because he's losing a lot of blood, so Armin decides to take a break and go to his room and read a Star Trek book. When Armin goes back in the bathroom, it's clear that Brandis is still alive, but he's on the verge of death. So, after much deliberation and quite a bit of praying, Armin ultimately ends Brandis's life and then proceeds to butcher him and put all of his meat into a freezer. Over the next 10 months, Armin would consume over 44 pounds of Brandis. In December of 2001, Armin put another ad online seeking somebody else that wanted to be eaten, and that ad would get sent to the police, who would go to Armin's house. They would find Brandis's remains behind pizza boxes in the back of his freezer, and they would arrest Armin. Despite showing police the videotape that showed Brandis repeatedly consenting to what was happening to him, Armin was still given a life sentence. This is the picture that Brandis put online in hopes that it would attract someone that would...
See, I'm not gonna lie. I be out, and you never can judge a book by its cover. But mofos that look like this, I try to steer clear. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what do you need? Why do you need something from me? I don't know you. I'm not really, I don't really fuck with people coming up to me anyways. Regardless. I mean, if it's, to compliment me or something, that's really nice. Or if it's to, let me know, your zipper's down or something, thanks. I appreciate that kind of stuff. But mofos just being weird and, doing that kind of shit and just looking at... Bruh, I'll kill you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna kill you. Man.
Want to eat him. And this is the bathtub where Armin Meiwes would grant Brandis...
I won't kill. I mean that in a... I'm gonna cut that out. I'm gonna cut that part out. Cause y'all ain't about to get me. Shit. That shit is nasty. I don't even know what I just looked at.
A disaster began to quietly unfold at 8:49 a.m. on April 16th, 2014. The Seawall ferry that was on a routine trip to Jeju Island in South Korea was beginning to lean very badly to one side. The ferry had recently undergone illegal renovations, adding a whole bunch of new rooms to the top of the ferry that made it much more profitable, but dangerously top-heavy. Corrupt regulators who were bought off with fancy dinners and travel allowed the ship to sail unsafe despite never having stepped foot on board. Had they gone on the ship themselves, they would have seen immediately how unsafe it was. On April 16th, the day this ferry is making its way to Jeju Island and is now leaning to one side, ferry workers had loaded twice the legal limit onto the ferry and then hadn't properly secured really any of it.
Well,
so
why would they do that?
Containers that were not tethered. So as the badly balanced Seawall ferry is making its way out to Jeju Island, it hits some very strong currents and makes a sharp turn to avoid them, causing the ship to begin to
fall over.
As soon as it begins to keel over, all those unsecured cars and containers all shift all at once to one side of the ship, causing it to completely roll over on its side and begin sinking. On board were 476 passengers, of which 325 were high school students on a school trip. As soon as the ship comes to rest on its side, the captain comes over the intercom and tells everybody to stay in your rooms and await further instruction. And everybody listens. They all stay in their room.
I'm sorry.
You can't blame them, because they're on a routine ferry trip that happens dozens of times a day without any incident, and the captain of the ship is telling you everything's fine, you just stay where you are, we'll tell you what to do next. After a little while, a lot of the students start to...
Like, I understand, but the shit is on its side. You have to give me a life vest, I'm jumping off the boat. You feel me? I'll figure it out. Because y'all just trying to prepare me to drown. You feel me? I ain't really fucking with that. But to not do your job, anyways, even if the boat just had the fucking captain in it, that's so reckless and stupid to me, to put double the amount of what you actually are supposed to put on there and not tether it down. That's crazy. But to have children, 300 children. Let me see what else has happened,
because a little bit anxious because there's been no further instruction. They're still sideways, and they're starting to realize that if they needed to, it would be hard to get out of the ship. A lot of them were way into the bowels of the ship, and they would literally need to climb up and out of the ship to
Well,
safety.
let's start
a
climbing.
Student actually called the authorities and said, "Hey, I think the ship I'm on is sinking," and the authorities hadn't heard of it because the captain and the crew of the ship were just totally crippled and could not make a decision, and had wasted all this time. They could have been evacuating people and getting help, and
exactly
were just panicked and frozen in terror. There would be over 20 calls from students pleading with authorities to come save them, because now they know the ship is sinking, because they can hear the sound of water rushing into the ship, and it's just a matter of time before it reaches them. Finally, almost an hour after the ship had originally keeled over onto its side, the captain issues the evacuation call to the whole ship. But at this point, water's already getting into the compartments where these students have been told to stay. And students aren't able to leave, and there's this panic to get out of the ship. So the evacuation order was doing nothing. It was already too late. One person who survived, who had left early and disobeyed the stay in your room order,
that's exactly what I would have done.
The ship, which was really the side of the ship, and they were looking down into the ship through a hallway. And they said there was this mass of people that were coming out of their rooms and trying to climb up this hallway right as a rush of water poured in through the side of this hallway and completely filled it, and they were gone. Later on, when divers would go down to recover the bodies, they would find that many of the students had broken fingers from desperately trying to climb up those hallways when water was pouring in on them. After the divers recovered the bodies, investigators began going through their cell phones to get some sense of what happened. And on their phones were these tragic pictures and videos of these students staying in their rooms like they were told to do.
That shit is so sad.
The captain to give them further instruction that never came. The captain actually abandoned ship right after that 9:30 call to evacuate came, when hundreds of students were still down below. He left
I can't believe it.
So they were totally on their own, just waiting for help that never came.
That is so sad. Like, that literally makes me mad. To the point, those, like, kids, if that shit happened to me, I'm about to be 25 in a couple of months. I would be terrified. But to have children that trust you and are listening to you, following directions, because like I said, I would have been out that bitch. If I'm being honest, I would have been the one that was on top looking down like, I ain't listening to this person. I don't know him. Sorry. But for them to actually trust you enough to sit in their rooms and wait and not just panic and do all that an hour earlier, and you leave. Let me know if this person got charged.
The 476 passengers, 304 would perish, and many believe that almost all of them could have been saved had they just evacuated as soon
immediately
as the ship keeled over. And so as a result of his gross negligence, the captain was given a life sentence.
Good.
So that's going to do it, guys. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these 3 stories, and I will pin the best comment at the top of the comment section. If you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done this already, please put hot dog water ice cubes in
All right. Anyways, like I said, that pissed me off. That last one, I'm not gonna lie, that last one pissed me off to the point I'm gonna have to do another reaction and make it a funny one because I gotta go to work and I'm not going to work on that kind of vibe. So, anyways, y'all like, come subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I'll see you on the next one.